12 years after coalition troops first arrived in Afghanistan, and by any measure, Uruzgan province is a far different place. The main Australian base here has been at Tarin Kot. In the past month, the Afghan Army and Police Force, the ANSF, officially took over security for their own people.
Previously, on my last deployment, we had IDF attack, which is indirect fire, every night.
This fighting season, the insurgents have been very surprised. They've been beaten.
After decades of being oppressed and threatened, the Afghans are now finally standing up.
They are conducting their own multi-agency combined arms operations without any support from the coalition or ISAF.
Where the insurgents attack, they're being completely rebuffed. The Soviets left a dependence on poppy production, producing opium for markets in Eastern Europe and the West. Yesterday's Taliban are today's insurgents, and they're desperate to keep this drug business alive. This now is their war.
We've got threats coming from the Taliban and insurgents, not necessarily from the capital cities, but from the far regions of the provinces. They are threatening and causing huge problems for the people there.
Still on the insurgents, why do people join the insurgency in this region? Is it seen as glamorous, access to guns, access to drugs? What have you found?
The insurgency is much smaller, it is more fractured and localised. And where we see examples of there being so-called defections, it's normally because they're coerced.
They access opium products to fund their activities.
It's a problem that hasn't been solved by the coalition. It'll take time for industry to grow organically. But what the Australians have done is advise the Afghan Army on how to run their operations. This is where they coordinate the different agencies. Between jobs, they watch the female judge on the Afghan version of The Voice, launching her new music video. That didn't happen before.
Right now we are being tested by our mentors. They are observing us and checking that we are doing the right job. But we have to pass this test. That's a big deal.
We're very, very careful about making things, as we phrase it, Afghan sustainable.
Flight Lieutenant Ben Kurlievich was here 6 years ago. He secures the base at Tarin Kot, and we've nicknamed him Checkpoint Curly.
Some of the simple things, like for example the water that we drink is bottled in Kabul. Back in 2007, there was no industry anywhere in Afghanistan that actually had the technology to make bottled water.
These soldiers maintain the checkpoints around the base. Every vehicle that enters goes through this checkpoint, so you might think it's a dangerous task.
Giving another line of security, another line of defence.
We watch a car that stopped outside the checkpoint. This is a first point of contact for vehicles entering the base, mostly locals and contractors, and the soldiers use all sorts of surveillance and sniffer dogs to determine whether the vehicles pose a threat. Back in 2006, only 39% of people in the regions had access to clean water. Today, an extra million are now plugged in. In 2000, 19% of kids eligible for school were actually enrolled, all boys and no girls. Today, 98% of students attend school, and the girls are doing well. Once we leave, our troops leave in December, how do you think we'll be remembered? What will be our legacy here in Afghanistan?
I think our legacy here is Afghan sovereignty and Afghan independence. So we've assisted them to get to a point where they can take their future into their own hands and make their own decisions about how they'll shape their nation.
Afghanistan's a country which has gone from having nothing a decade ago to being considered a developing nation today. It is by no means perfect, and there's no doubt the Taliban will use our troops' withdrawal as a chance to claim a victory in their propaganda war. But our troops leave Afghanistan with their heads held high. They have made a difference to people's health and education, and also their personal security. And our troops believe that's how they'll be remembered here. Ahron Young, Sky News at Tarin Kot in Afghanistan.